Hello, Internet. Welcome to another episode of the Engram here on gkick.net, on YouTube, and of course on iTunes. It's been a little while. I'm a little delayed in my week-to-week promise of having new episodes of the Engram. So I am back, for at least now. We've got the weekly update to cover. I'm going to try to focus on updating this show every weekly update, because I think that's probably going to be the best opportunity to have the most stuff to talk about. And of course, if there's any major things to cover, I'll do so. But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about this latest weekly update, give you an update about where I've been too, and a couple other things going on. So first and foremost, where have I been? Well, I was in the hospital for a couple days, and also had to finish moving out of my old apartment. So my time has been, well, run a little ragged lately. But I did get the latest weekly update following the Halloween update, and I really wanted to talk about it. Another thing you may have noticed, also on this channel on YouTube, is a brand new YouTube exclusive show called The Game Hole. And that's going to be kind of my general gaming show. So I'll cover all sorts of gaming news, and it's going to be the same kind of thing as this, where it's short. Whenever I really do it, at least once a week. About 10 minutes or so of content, maybe a little bit more depending on what's on there. And that's all on YouTube. That's exclusive to YouTube. And you can go check that out. First couple episodes are already up. So feel free to give it a look-see. It's on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Shoutstone Show. So check that out. But anyway, let us talk about the weekly update, shall we? So basically this weekly update was essentially a big list of what Bungie is hoping to roll out in the future. Not a lot of promises of when we can expect any of this stuff. Just information about what we're going to be getting eventually. So, let me give you the quick and dirty breakdown. You can, of course, check out the weekly update at bungie.net. And, of course, on the Destiny app. It's always available there. But, anywho. Starting with this week's weekly update. So, some of the things we can expect to see in the future. Channels for talking to match-made teammates, if you so wish. So this is pretty useful, when you get into a match-made strike, and things like that. Maybe you want to have the ability to communicate with your teammates and kind of coordinate certain things. This could open the door for hopefully matchmaking in other elements of the game that don't currently support it. Things like nightfall strikes or, things that are a little more complicated. That, you have the ability to now communicate with these match-made teammates, whereas you didn't currently, so it could make the whole process a little smoother. Exotic weapons that are stronger and more interesting to upgrade. So this is good because, obviously, exotics are currently the top of the food chain when it comes to gear in Destiny. So you want to make sure that those weapons are strong, that you can do a little bit more with them, too. I think some of the upgrades for them are pretty interesting, but it'd be nice to have a little more creative upgrades for a lot of these weapons. So, hopefully we'll see that in the coming future, especially with the expansion just a little over a month away at this point. New gear to let you slip into something a little more legendary. So, sounds like they're trying to introduce just a little more in the way of legendary level gear. Because one of the big things right now is there's a lot of standardization amongst players once you hit a certain level. Each class kind of has their own cookie cutter build, so it'd be nice to have a little more options available for that sort of thing. Also talked a little bit about the Dark Below. A little bit. We don't have a ton of information currently on the expansion, but I'm sure we will in the coming weeks, and of course, once it launches December 9th. New shaders. New shaders are a big thing. Shaders are a great feature that Bungie can roll out because it's easy for them to introduce, and it's also a good way to customize your character a little bit more and have a little bit more individual flavor to your character. So shaders are an easy way, things that they can relatively easily update into the game. And allow for a little more customization in character personality. Ways to preview items before you spend your glimmer. So this is really useful, especially when it comes to shaders. You know, if obviously you can preview shaders if you go to certain websites and things like that, but you shouldn't have to. You know, you should be able to do all this stuff from within the game itself. So hopefully they decide to introduce something like that. But previewing is really important. And both of those things combined kind of ties into another thing I'd really love to see them add in the future, which is something called transmogrification. I may have talked about this in the past, but if you're familiar with games like World of Warcraft, then you know that there are NPCs called transmogrifiers who will essentially allow you to replicate the look of a specific piece of gear in replacing the look of your current piece. So for example, if you have a hard light and you also have a Soros regime or something like that, those aren't the same kind of weapon, but doesn't really matter. Just for example purposes, let's say you have, you know, one weapon and you want it to look like a different one that you have, but you want to keep the same stats, then that's what you do. You should get that weapon's look transmogrified onto your current weapon, so that way, you know, you could do that. And that would allow for a little bit more character customization. So maybe you want to have just some different appearances to your gear without replacing the stats. Greater chances of showers in public spaces. Now, when Deej mentions showers, he refers to public events. So basically, more in the way of public events in public spaces. So that'd be good. We want to see more public events, because those are a lot of fun. You know, especially when you've got bounties that are focused on specific areas. You get a lot of players there generally, so it's nice to have those public events. Get your, you know, your daily golds locked in, some special rewards, things like that, and they're fun. Easy XP. Adjustments to some arenas that needed better traffic flow. So I do some PvP, but not a ton. But yeah, it'd be useful to have, you know, to make sure that the maps are optimized for getting everybody across and around the map. So that's useful. New economies to equip you with upgrade materials. Now, for something along those lines, that's been a huge kind of a really, really big focus of a lot of complaints that I've heard, is players want better ways to get the upgrade materials. Things like spin metal, helium filaments, etc. You know, they want better ways than having to loop around planets and farm. And some ideas would have just been like having mobs be able to drop said items. You know, you go to the moon and you kill the Fallen there, and occasionally they drop helium. You know, that would be a good change and a good adjustment. So little things like that. They need better ways to get those things. Maybe introducing some kind of auction house or trading mechanism would be good. You know, you don't need to be able to trade gear, but little things like that would be really useful. Fixes, patches, and other invisible technical evolutions. Now that's always kind of the standard when it comes to how Bungie has to keep working on Destiny. Obviously they have to fix a lot of the raid mechanics that keep getting broken and exploited. They also need to help on the network end. A lot of people still getting kicked to orbit, getting different kick to orbit errors. So that's a constant battle that I'm sure they're going to need to deal with. They're also talking about possibly a little more generous Cryptarch. But they do qualify that by saying he will still be a bit of a bastard. Hopefully that means that, you know, when you get legendary packages from the Cryptarch, you actually get at least one legendary engram. That would be nice, you know, instead of just all rare. But anyway, so all of the specifics are broken down in the weekly update as per usual. And also a look at some of the environments from the Dark Below, because we've got a lot of that coming. But biggest thing to consider is there is going to be a lot of changes that are going to be coming down the line. You know, with the Dark Below expansion, with the second expansion. Just a lot of really focused changes that they're going to have to make in the coming months to continue to make Destiny an interesting place to be. You know, we know that Destiny 2 is currently under development. They've officially announced that Destiny 2 is currently under development. I'm sure Destiny 2 has been in development since the release, or since they finished Destiny 1. And that's, we know that's coming. So this is what makes it a little more unique than a typical MMO, because you're not, you buy an MMO, or you get into an MMO, and you know that the updates and the expansions are going to keep coming for as long as that MMO exists. And with this case, we know we're getting 2, and then weekly updates, maybe, occasional other patches and things like that, and then that's it. Ultimately, this game will run its course, then the sequel will come out, and we'll all transition to there, or at least many of us will. So, I'm looking forward to that point in Destiny's life cycle to see what happens. How is this transition going to happen where we go from Destiny to Destiny 2 and make this transition, and what are we going to get? And I think we're going to start to see signs of that in the Dark Below and in the next expansion after that. So, I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here for this week. I will be back again probably with the next weekly update, maybe sooner if something interesting happens. Don't forget, go to youtube.com/ShoutstoneShow. Check out the new show that I released, The Game Hole. Let me know what you think. If you want any particular other gaming topics to be covered, let me know. So that's going to do it for here. I will see you folks next time. Thank you so much for watching. For those of you on YouTube, here is your moment of Zen. Happy hunting, Guardians.